Hey guys, I'm back with another episode. In today's episode of Pour Into My Cup, I talk with Hira, CEO of Hisi Brands. This is part one of a part two series. In part one, we talk about pivoting careers, recognizing your strengths, and friends supporting you. Get ready to have your cup poured into. Hi, Hira. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so tell us about yourself. What is it that you exactly do?
So I am the founder of Hisi Brands. We are a luxury oud hair oil. We launched in 2017 in October, and with one product, it is our oud hair oil.
Okay. And what exactly is oud hair oil?
So oud is what we've infused the oil with. The major components are grapeseed, almond, and coconut oil. And it was kind of my node to the Middle East, where I've spent a lot of time growing up. And the hair oil routine overall is very, very prevalent in the South Asian culture. Growing up, my mom always oiled my hair. It was kind of like a weekly thing, maybe even like every few days. Something as little as, you have a headache. Like, here, let's put some hair oil in your hair. So it was kind of like the cure-all for everything. And I'm sure a lot of other South Asian girls can attest to that as well. And I kind of wanted to introduce the concept of hair oiling to the Western world. And that's kind of the ethos, if you will, of Hisi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And how does the oud hair oil different from, like, I know, for example, for me in my culture, being African American, we'll use like coconut oil to do like hot oil treatments or olive oil. Do the benefits, are they similar or do they differ in any way?
So oud itself is derived from a tree. It's probably the most expensive commodity in the world. My purpose of using that in the oil was actually just to elevate the experience. So I don't claim for it to actually be any better for your hair. It's more of providing the consumer a luxury experience. I really want to make that a statement, and I think that everyone deserves to be kind of spoiling themselves, and that's kind of where that came from. Where I decided that the whole self-love saying or whatever you will of that is kind of on the rise. Everyone's taking care of themselves more with social media, with just awareness. Everyone looks better as they age. And so I feel like everyone cares more about the products they use, and they kind of want to give themselves that time every Sunday or whenever you do find the time for your self-love regimen. I wanted it to be a luxurious experience. I feel like that's what always attracted me to products, like what made it different, what made it like super luxe. I always go for the and the ones that have stories behind it, or the ones that come from a different space or like a different area. That's kind of how I combine that. Does that make sense?
It definitely does. And how did you start the brand?
So I started, so basically, like a little background of myself, I was an accountant. I went to school for I got my bachelor's in accounting. I went to business school. I got my master's in tax. And I was a public accountant for 3 years. And I hated it. Like, I don't want to say I hated it, but I did. Like, I would not take back the education. I would not take back the experience. What it had taught me, I would not trade. I mean, I learned to work in public accounting. I mean, we put our heads down and we worked for 100 hours a week. And that's kind of what you need to start and to do anything successfully. I think you need to learn how to work. And going back to social media and how Beauty has been on the rise, and everyone's kind of wants to jump on the bandwagon because some people make it look so easy. I think I also want to make it a point to say that you have to work hard, and it's not just going to happen overnight. And you can't just be like, oh, I want to start my own company. Like, no, you have to. It's hard work, and there's endless hours. Countless hours to work overnight, and or whatever it is. You kind of have to put your all into it. And that's kind of what I learned in accounting. And so I came up with the concept then. Entrepreneurial tendencies were always in my family. Like I grew up in a family where my dad was an entrepreneur my whole life. That's all I saw. All my family members, my dad came here when he was 17, started his own company. And so it's kind of like in my blood. And so going to school and kind of getting a job was straying away from what was the norm of my family. I was actually like the first person to then go to grad school and then get a job kind of working for someone else that wasn't in the family. And so, yeah. And so, but you can't rebel against what's in your blood, right? So like I tried it. I was studying for the CPA, but I was like, I would literally remember sitting in tax seminars and I was like, I can't pay attention. Like I have to be doing my own thing. Like I have to have my own business. Like it's what I'm meant to do. And then the idea of Hisi specifically with hair oil as our first product came about because again, the node to my culture and kind of wanting to introduce the Eastern concept to the Western world, but also because I didn't have the time to take care of myself the way that I liked or enjoyed to when I was working in tax. I was at work all the time. All my friends, all my peers or my colleagues that I went to school with, we were working like crazy, and we were even making a decent amount for people out of school, but we couldn't spend it, or we looked like shit. We would like, oh my God, we couldn't get our nails done. We couldn't like do the things that made us feel like pretty. And a tax season would go by and we would be like, oh my God, like I haven't gotten a haircut in like 5 months, or like I haven't gotten my nails done in like a month, which was, I go bi-weekly. So that was like crazy. I was like, girls need to be, not even girls, just people, my consumer or the customer, just everyone deserves to take that time, like force yourself to put oil in your hair, like sit around for 20 minutes and like soak in the oud. And like, I mean, it's how great are you going to feel knowing that like the most expensive commodity in the world is in your head, like, right?
No,
Yeah.
true. And I do want to point out that I find it very interesting that your family was entrepreneurs and you were the one who didn't right away take the entrepreneurial route. From what I hear from other entrepreneurs or just people who start their own brands, is usually all their family are all in school, or they are just like school focused, and they're the ones who are finally the first person to do their own entrepreneurial dreams or goals. What made you go the school route, like do the taxes or marketing? Was it because it was something you were interested in or you were good at, or you're like, let me try something different? Why did you go that route at first?
Oh, that's an awesome question, actually, because I've noticed the same thing. I feel like education is always the biggest emphasis. I mean, of course, and it is extremely important. And I think that if I had a daughter, I would kind of tell her the same thing. Nothing is going to ever replace that, in my opinion. But I think it's definitely like a stepping stone that everyone should take. Well, to be honest, I guess growing up, knowing the volatility in business as well. So my dad, when he came here at 17, he had like $1,000. This was in the 80s, I guess, or 70s. I think the 70s or 80s. And He didn't finish college. Um, my mom did though, and I guess knowing that things can go wrong and knowing that you're just never sure of like where business can take you or like not take you. So having a backup plan, I guess that was really what kept me to I've always wanted to just not like, even when I started High Sci, I wasn't like, I'm going to order 10,000 units and just, go crazy and put every dollar into it. Like I was very, smart with it, I think, or I tried to be, because, and I think that's my education gave me that. And being an accountant taught me that, and not invest all, diversify your portfolio. I was kind of diversifying myself that, okay, I want to take this route and I do believe that I can be hopefully successful in it. But what if I am not? And like, I'm then 30 years old and I didn't go to school. And so, I mean, and even so, like, you can always find a great job, but I don't want to go back into doing something that I wouldn't feel like was challenging me or like not up to my potential. And so it was kind of like a whole backup plan, I guess. And even, but I think that having my own business was for sure always my goal. And but I also knew that out of school, if I start something, without any work experience, it's not like I can go back and say, oh, well, I got a degree in this like 10 years ago. No, I got a degree in this and I also worked in it. And so now I'm also like securing that backup plan a little bit. And I mean, accounting was a skill. And when I entered school, I was like, okay, there's all these business majors, but a lot is theory. Accounting was the only skill that I that like popped out to me, and which is transferable to literally every business, right? Like every business owner you meet, they're like, okay, you need to have a good lawyer and a good accountant. And so if I can like mitigate that cost by kind of being my own bookkeeper and kind of being able to manage my own expenses, I also think is kind of valuable.
Earlier, you talked about when you were working in the field that when tax season came around, you didn't have time to get your nails done, maybe get your hair done and your monthly massages. What was the wake up call where you were like, okay, this is it. I can't do this anymore. It's time for me to go into business. How did you exactly decide, okay, I'm going to do hair oil as the business?
Oh my God. Okay. So we were in a tax seminar. It was in so there was a lot of deadlines in tax. So the big misconception is that tax season is always from January to April, but it's actually like all year round. Like there's just a million deadlines and everything. I mean, the firm I was at, we put everything on extension, and we kind of were like scrambling again over the summer to get things done by September, and then again by like 10-15. So it was, I remember it was in August and we were in a seminar. We would have like firm-wide trainings, kind of to just refresh like laws or whatever was changing in the tax world. And it was like 4 hours long and I did not listen to one word. I literally could not pay attention. I was just thinking of like branding, product, just everything but tax. And I was like, I can't do this. And I actually like ended up quitting a week later, I think. And so, yeah, that was kind of the wake up call where I'm like, you know what? I really thought that I had to do this, and this in order to start. And I kind of did that at that point. I had been working for a while. I was done with school. The only other thing was, I mean, I was like, I thought I had to finish the CPA exam. And I was like, wait, okay, like I don't have to do that. It was a huge investment money wise, time wise. And I'm really actually glad I didn't do it during that time. And I kind of, these last 2 years I've been building High Sci. And I mean, I guess in another world, it would be great if I did that. That comes with its own set of security and for the future. But I'm just actually really glad that I made the decision when I did.
So you said that you were in the seminar and that's when you just had the wake up call that it was time for you to quit. I feel like from different blogs and brands that I followed, and it's just even conversations with friends that I have or people that I meet, it's
Uh-huh.
always that fight of no, don't quit. You have to have like an exit plan or just quit when you feel ready. Do you think were you in a position where you were able to quit and still had money set aside to still pay for your bills and other things that you need to take care of? Or do you think that you just did it for like your mental health?
Oh my God. Okay. That's a great question. And I'm sorry, I should have been more clear. I
No, don't.
actually quit. Oh, sorry. So I quit to take, so my plan was, I already knew, I had been thinking about it for a while, but in that moment, I knew that, okay, now this really reaffirms my decision or what I've been
Okay.
taking on. However, it was not to quit to do this full time. It was to quit to get a job that would better accommodate working on HiSi because it was impossible for me to do that while I was in public accounting.
I see.
That was, yeah. And I knew that if I was to stay in the position that I was in, I would be doing at very minimum 60 to 70 hours. And that was not sustainable to be doing like to create a business with on top of that. I don't think so. I mean, if I guess I could do the extra 40 hours at night, but I mean,
That
it
would be
wasn't,
crazy.
yeah, it wasn't the ideal situation. And so so when I did quit, I'm not going to lie and say that I had something set up, like a job to go to next. I just knew I couldn't be there. And so within 2 months, I did find another role that, I mean, the commute was a little bit much, but the hours were much more sustainable for me to get a business going, I guess, and kind of just build what I've been dreaming about.
Okay, that makes sense now. So,
Yeah.
starting off with the new job and now you're working on starting the brand, how did you balance having your 9 to 5 and then working, I guess you could say your 5 to 9?
Uh-huh. Oh my God, more like 6 to 3 a.m. actually, and then like back at work in the morning. So that's again when I go back to tributing my kind of like conditioning and how I learned to work. That's so important, and I want to like to whoever like listens to this, I want to say that like you need to learn how to work, right? And so whatever that is, whatever can teach you that, like that's probably the most valuable asset. But when did I'm sorry, what was the question?
So, well, I asked, how are you able to balance your 9 to 5 with your 5 to 9?
Oh,
That is,
oh my God. So I don't want to sound cliche and say that like it wasn't work. It was no, because it was work. It's just like, I guess the drive of knowing what the alternative was for me. Like, so at that point, I would be like, okay, if this doesn't work and if I don't make, like this happen, or like if I don't try at this, I left something that was, seemingly a successful path. And oh my God, everyone knows, like, all your friends and your family and like, your parents. And it's kind of like, oh, wow, you went to school for this for like 5 years. Was I there? 5.5 years, like undergrad, grad school. And then, yeah. So, you left all that to work at a place. And so the job that I had gotten was completely out of the realm of tax. And, so you have that added pressure, which for me is motivating. I don't know, for other people, it's kind of like, oh, don't care what, all the eyes that are watching you, but like everyone notices it. And for me, it is motivating. And so that was a driving factor, but also knowing that like, this is what I think I was meant to do. And like when you feel like you're doing what you're meant to do, like having my dad's support and like being able to talk to him about like, oh, what do you think about like this as the label, or like color wise, or like and I just feel like it didn't feel like work, as cliche as that sound. I was so excited that like even during the day I'd sneak in during lunch, like go into a conference room and just like open up my email and like kind of like do HiSi work on the side, like every chance that I could. So it was kind of like just, I felt like I was doing what I was supposed to do.
I completely understand that. It feels like for me when I first started my business, it kind of felt like I was fulfilling my purpose.
Uh-huh.
I feel like when I had certain jobs, it's like, okay, great, I have a job, I'm secure, I could pay my bills. That's great. But at the end of the day, I was walking into work and it was as if my soul was like leaving my body every day.
Oh my God. You know what? That's so funny. But you know what? One of my friends the other day, her and I were having a talk about the exact same thing. She kind of has her own situation going as well. And we came up with at the end, like, you're investing in yourself.
Yes.
So it's like, what, right? Like you are your own first investor. And so that's kind of the way that attitude, I think, is like the best approach to take on this, that as draining as it is and as annoying as it might be to walk through the doors at some like corporate office that you hate,
Mhm.
but like you whatever your means are, like for me, I am all self-funded. Like I did want to keep that day job because I didn't want to go to anyone else. I didn't want to go to my parents or kind of fundraise within the community. I mean, there's so many options these days, and I think they're all wonderful, and there's success in every path you choose. But I really, really wanted to do it on my own. And so for me, I was going to work to do that. And so, what was I going to say? I'm sorry. What was the
I was
weird shit?
when I entered the work field, it just felt like when I was working and also working on my brand, it just felt like I was losing my soul working the corporate job every day. And then
Right. It's draining. And then if you look at it as being an investor in yourself, and I think that that's kind of like a really great thing that you can, you're kind of, you're doing what you got to do to get the job done, right? Like when they say if there's a will, there's a way. I mean, that's the way then. And I feel like a lot of people want to find an easy way, and they fundraise too quickly, or like they want to seek investors because it's like the cool thing to do. And you hear about all these stories with like seed round, like 15 million, seed round, like 20 million. Like, okay, that's great. But like, oh, it's like you gave away half your company. Like I don't want to do that. And even if you do get to that point, cool. But I mean, even that market is going to get saturated, and I don't know, there's power in kind of having control. So that's the way I look at it.
no, I definitely agree. And I do want to mention, because you kind of have mentioned it a little bit more, about how sometimes when people look at brands or even entrepreneurs on, for example, Instagram, really it's like you're seeing the highlight reels and you're not seeing the hard work that goes behind it, or even the stuff that happened before the brand was launched. And I feel like I've seen people where they start their own brand or their business, and then once they get started, they're like, whoa, like this is actual work. It's not just like fun and games all day. What would be your advice to them?
Oh my God, absolutely. Oh wow. So I know we've all heard of stories that like some entrepreneurs actually get their companies taken away from them,
Mhm.
or and so that's why I would say like the education part is kind of important, because um, although you have maybe the skill to uh, start something and be creative in a sense, uh, you might not necessarily entail the skill set to actually run. That's a very different thing. Running a business and creating in my opinion, and I think that's why you more and more you see. I guess like founders, and then there's the CEOs, right? And then sometimes there's the founder CEO, and
Mhm.
these terms are thrown around, but like if you actually think about it, like the CEO um, is a business person, and the founder is a most likely a creative person, right? You founded a company, and so I think that difference is important to realize. And I think that you have to be aware of what your strengths are, and knowing that, you know what, I'm good at creating. I'm not the best at taking photos. And so I'm not going to try to sit there and create our Instagram page. I should probably hire someone to, or find an intern, or, find another mean to get content for our Instagram so it looks good because I'm colorblind, like, or something like that. And so for me in my situation, I don't want to say that like I was gifted and I could do both, but I mean, I do have the big business background, right? And so I do think that talking financial, talking money, talking numbers, that is what actually comes pretty natural to me. Creation as well, like creating and color and product. That's also like a huge part of who I was growing up, who I've always been. I think anyone who knows me can attest to that. I've always been into fashion. I've always been into beauty product or like makeup and like hair care, skincare. And so it was kind of like the combination of both that made it work for me. But I think, did I answer the question?
You definitely did. No, you definitely did.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah. So realizing your strengths is self-awareness, and realizing your strengths is probably like the most important thing about that. And I mean, it's not for everyone. I listen to a lot of Gary Vee. So shout out to Gary Vee's podcast because, but he actually really says it quite clearly and like blatantly. And I think that a lot of people like could take a note or two from that. It's not for everyone. Creating as fun as it may be and as exciting as it is to like, you know, go in and it be your space and you founded it and kind of have that authority in the place, if that's what you like. It sounds exciting and it sounds very attractive, but I don't think that it's for everyone. And so you should really figure out if you're really good at math, you should be a math teacher, and that's really great. Like if you can teach children math, I think that you should do that. Or if you're really good at like doing hair, do hair. Like you don't have to open a salon. Or if you're good at makeup, you don't have to have a makeup line. You can just do people's makeup and be like the best at it. So I think that's important to realize.
I definitely agree and resonate with that response just because I have seen people where they've started brands. Even myself, like I've like had my challenges along the way. But I guess for me, it's everyone sees other people starting their own businesses and different brands, and they're like, okay, I can do that too. But what do you think is a way that can kind of like a quiz or something that anyone can take that can tell them if they're going in the right direction? I know like there's like Myers-Briggs that lets you know like what kind of jobs or not Myers-Briggs, but there's different tests that let you know like what kind of job best suit you based off the way you answer the questions. But is there a test? Is there a way where you can see if starting your own business or brand is going to be best for you without having to spend all the money and waste time starting a business and then you realize it's not for you?
Oh my God, that's a really good question. So the best way to think that to figure out if this is a route you should go down. I don't know about like I've never taken one of those tests or quiz. I know what you're talking about, but I've never myself taken it. I think that, well, I'll answer this a little differently. I don't think you can learn to become an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. I think that it is inherent. I think that you're born with certain traits and you either spend your life refining them or you spend your life or recognizing what they are and refining them, or you waste time trying to force yourself to be good at something that you're just not meant to do. I actually, as harsh as that may sound, and everyone does like to say that, like, you know, if you try hard enough, you'll do it. I don't think so. I think that if I sit there and try to like code, okay, maybe coding's a bad example. I could probably do that. But if I sit there and I try, or like, if I keep like practicing like dunking, like I don't think I'm gonna dunk. I'm like 5'3" and like, or 5'4", and like I don't think I'm gonna get better at it. You know, like someone that's 7 foot tall is just gonna be better at it. Yeah. And so I think that realize your strengths is kind of like the theme of my life, and I kind of like always want. That's the message I want to give across. Like, don't force yourself to do something that you're not good at. And if I think at a certain age, so what I mean, now you have kids starting businesses at 6 and they pitch people. And so it's just like, so at that point, that's the parents. That's parents pushing them because they want their kids to be on Shark Tank and pitch and get some like hype out of it. I'm sorry, but like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm not a parent, so I don't know. So that's off the record, I guess. But I think that by the time it's like for myself, I knew this at a young age because, well, for me, it was weird because I saw my friends would be like, yeah, my dad's off tomorrow. And I never understood what that meant. Like when people would say my parents are off, so we're going away. I was like, wait, my parents are always off, I guess. Like my dad was home when he was home, he was working, he had a home office. He did have like offices elsewhere, but he came home, like if we had to be home, if we had guests, he was able to like, leave the office and come. And so that was very weird for me growing up, realizing that like other people's parents weren't around whenever they wanted them to be. And so, but then I also had the downfall of like when my dad would go away for months on end on business. And so that was like very different. Like he'd be in Europe for a month and I wouldn't see him. So, but I think by the time you realize that this is what you're going to do as a career, or as like your life's work, you kind of like have tested other things. And I think that's what you should do. Like test other things, like go to college, right? Like guys, go to school, different classes and, realize what you like and don't like and kind of test it that way, I guess.
And if I'm not mistaken, you mentioned you're better at the finance side of things. You're not you're not like an expert in the creative side.
No, I am.
You are? Okay, sorry, you are. But
I consider myself a huge creative.
Oh yeah, okay. But you have the business with your sister, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So how is that running a business with your sister? Like, how are you guys able to work together as a team? And when challenges or disagreements do arise, how do you guys handle it in the most professional way as possible?
Oh my God. Okay. So, I love my sister. Oh my God. I don't think I could have I wouldn't pick anyone else, but, it's when it comes down to, so we have very similar tastes, but sometimes I'll just be a little crazy and I'll go to, if I want a second opinion, I trust hers. I'll go to my dad, I'll go to my mom, but she's just on the same vibe. And have you ever met someone who's just wow, we think exactly the same?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a good or bad thing, because what if we both think it's a horrible idea and we're the only ones and we just root each other on? It's yeah, let's make the hair oil green. No. But because we both agreed, let's do that. No, that's it could be bad, but I guess it hasn't been bad yet. And so we think very similarly. And so it's always helped. I don't think we've had many disagreements, to be honest. We know how to handle it with each other. I'm never going to let it get there, and she's never going to let it get there. I have this respect for her. She has this respect for me. She knows that, when it comes to how I want it to look or how I want to market it, or this idea that I have, she knows it's coming from somewhere. And she's okay, Hira didn't just come up with this idea out of nowhere. So it's harder to shoot someone down when you have that respect for them, because you know that they're coming with some sort of knowledge, or they truly believe in it for some reason. And so when you give people that respect, they kind of it's hard to fight, because you're dealing with someone who, you kind of hold at a certain level. And so we never let it get there, and we never really have disagreed on anything. But splitting up the roles, I guess, when it comes to, she can also she helps when it comes to I can, yeah, like I said, I can go a little crazy. I'll be let's do this and let's do that. And it's my dad and her both have been yeah, we're going to focus on one thing. And that's kind of you should just do one thing really well. And so that's kind of like where we buckle down and like check each other in ways like that.
And I was gonna ask for people who still may think, well, I still want to pursue a business. Do you think hiring a business coach or a mentor would be beneficial, or do you think it's just the best route where if you try different things like taking classes or picking up different skills and it just doesn't work out, then it's best to just call it quits and just go for the corporate job or find another business that you can hop on the bandwagon and help someone else grow their business, if that makes sense.
Oh, no, absolutely. Okay. So back to like the point we said about, your strength can be like, numbers or creative. Like, so if you find yourself like fairly well-rounded, I think that's a great way to determine whether you could probably work at running your own thing. Cause I mean, I found myself in that situation, right? Like I liked a bunch of different things. And so it like you have to be able to wear all sorts of hats. And as cliche as that sounds as well, it's absolutely true. Cause you have to think about market, you have to think about image and like, budget and all of that. So when it comes to yeah, you know what? Like that's actually like it's not a bad idea. Just I'm not a graphic designer, for instance, and I have some friends that are, and so it's and on that note, I want to emphasize networking and kind of like nurturing relationships. I think that's such an understated just way to be. You never know when you're gonna like need to call on someone for help, and you actually like should look for help, right? Because not everyone is absolutely great at everything. Like I can sit there and teach myself Adobe, which I've tried. Like, Photoshop, I've tried to sit there. I watch tutorials just because I do have that attitude of like, I should be able to do everything a little bit, And so I did spend that time, but I was like, okay, is this really the best use of my time when I can just, go to Upwork or call on my friend who's a graphic designer and, here he could do this in like 10 minutes and I'm sitting here watching the video for 10 minutes, So I think that it's really valuable to nurture relationships just because, you never know when you're going to meet or need someone else's skill. And like, if you're just friends and it's organic, it's like way better than just going to a stranger. But yeah, if you're an awesome graphic designer, like every company nowadays, like with social being such a huge part of how companies market, is such a valuable asset to a business. And so being that go-to for a big brand, I think it can be just as rewarding and you can be just as successful as someone who owns it. And, the owner is always glorified that, I'm the founder or this and that, but like you're kind of doing a bunch of different things and it's not always fun. And so if you could be the head of like a niche of marketing, head of, strategy or something else, I think that's you can find like true success in the niche roles of a business as well. As far as hiring a brand consultant or a mentor, I think mentors are normally like organic relationships. I think that my mentor might have been my dad. I outside of family, I haven't really had any. Just because I feel like there's always that like fear of like, how much are you going to share? How much can you share? How much do you trust the person? I sleep with one eye open. No, I'm just kidding. But my dad, like, it's my dad, so I can tell him everything. But when it comes to a strategy, someone for strategy, it depends, right? Where you are in the stage, what stage of business you're at. And for me, if someone was to come in and kind of try to give me creative direction, I would be like, I'm actually really like, I'm a huge connoisseur myself of product. I know what attracts me to a shelf. Like, I know what I like. I know what to look for when I buy something. And so I'd kind of be like, okay. And I have like a background in fashion as well. And so when it comes to like shoots and like designing and like how we want to shoot the product, or like kind of like behind the scenes images that we've done in the past, like I know how to do that. And I kind of like, that's really like therapeutic and kind of fun for me to remove myself from the other parts of it. And it's not always just like when you, especially when you created the product and now you're at the point of like, wow, bringing it to life and like taking photos of it. I think that that's fun and something that I've always wanted to be involved in. So I don't see myself per se like get going into that route in the next in the near future. But hey, like as you grow, you have to let go.
Yeah.
So let's not bar me out from that, but not for now, I would say.
But I definitely do agree. Learning about your story, it does seem like your dad played a big role in like your business advice, and like I guess he played a big role in like being your mentor, is from what it sounds like. And I agree, family sometimes can be better to utilize, especially your dad, in the sense that he had his own business. He was an entrepreneur. He had been there before. So he kind of, well, not kind of, he understood what you were going through and how to best assist you. Of course, there are some things that are trial and error. You have to learn along the way. But I do agree that a mentor and having a business coach is beneficial, but it's all in the end is just seeing like what's going to be the best route. Is it me having a mentor or hiring a business coach, or is it just me piggybacking off of someone else's brand and just being, like you said, the niche of different areas?
Yeah.
I did want to switch gears a little bit and focus, ask a few questions about your brand. You did mention that this past October made your first year. So it seems like people say if you can make it past your first year, you're pretty much golden after that. But how was it like having your first year in business?
Oh my God. Oh my God. So we made this like video last year. Like that's what my sister and I and my niece, Melania, we made a video because we wanted it to be really like raw, really like backstage type of like feel. I just, her putting hair oil in my hair, I'm putting it in Melania's hair. Like we're just like literally in like with this backdrop, and we're just like playing around with our hair oil. And that was like what we posted to kind of let everyone know, like, okay, site's live. And there was just so much like anticipation leading up to like me actually making it live, because all my friends that were like, that they've heard me talk about it for months, and like so many people already had the oil before I even launched, because like I would give it out and it was ready, but like I was so nervous. And so this past October, then we like posted it again, and it was just like seeing it and having it play after a year again. Cause I'm kind of like, I get super shy about my work sometimes. I don't look back at it. Like, I know it's important to like look back to see like how far you've come and like, oh shoot, let's edit that. But like, I dread looking back. And so, it's actually a good thing, right? Like looking forward, keep your eye forward.
I agree.
But thank you. So like, I won't go back and like look at our old like photos or content. I'm just like, I'm half afraid, but like, I'm also like,
I think it's just the vulnerability of it, because it's like looking at someone else's brand, you're like, oh, okay, I didn't create this, but it looks beautiful. But knowing like the backstory of what happened for you to get there, I think that video is just, it's more emotional, I guess.
Yes, and it's also nerve-wracking. I was like, wait, this is what we posted to say we went live? Like shit, I wish it was a better quality video. But and it's crazy because I've said that to many people, and you know, like my my sister was like, you know what? No, like you look at an iPhone and you see the first version of the iPhone, and everyone was like, oh my God, that's so crazy. Like, I can't believe the phone has no buttons. And like now you look at an iPhone in 2018 and you put it next to, when did iPhone come out? Like 2002?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's
right? And you compare it and you're like, whoa, but that was in our lifetime. And we actually thought that was like a great new, like crazy out of this world product.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you look at it in that way, that's kind of comforting because I can look back at like our old photos, or I could look back at a video. I mean, the video is still cute, and I'm like, now I'm going to dig it up and send it to you. And the background song is Nicki Minaj and Future. What is this song? You know that song?
What was, I know what song you're talking about.
You the baddest? Is that what it's called?
I think that's what it is.
Oh my God, I loved that song. And so I actually edited the video it's myself, and like and the words kind of line up to what's going on in the video too. So it's cute. Like I think it's super cute still. But it's like, damn, that's what we used. And so is that the song? It's the only song I have on my...
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's a great song. I didn't get any copyright for that, so I'm sorry if I...
But it's also great that even though you think now looking back that the video was poor quality, I feel like I've seen friends who want to start a brand or like have like even that are bloggers and have like posts that they need to release, but they're like, no, the picture isn't perfect. I can't put it out. And I feel like with Instagram, it's become this like my picture has to be curated. It has to be this high resolution photo. And I feel like that almost makes that's why I think people get like this highlight reel feel of, okay, I'm missing out. This person is doing all this amazing things. I have to post this amazing picture too. But I think the fact that your video, from what it sounds like, the way you described, it wasn't what you describe as the best edited video or the best looking video. It just showed that you cared, but you didn't care enough to like sit there and make it this grand thing. What was more
100%. Yes, actually, I will take that and run with it because that's so true. Like, it's not that I didn't care because, again, I've been around like the whole like, you know, fashion beauty scene. I've like, you know, and I know like what a good video looks like. But I was like, you know what? It doesn't freaking matter. Like, if this isn't gonna like make someone buy it, then like, you know, maybe something else will. Like, you know, whatever. But I wasn't gonna sit there and like. Because in my opinion, it was like one of many more to come, right? Like if I'm going to spend so much time on this, and at that point, like I was literally, I still am. I still ship on my own. I do like we send out the boxes ourselves, and it's kind of like you have to be like a one woman show, and you are doing everything, and then you see what takes priority, and priority at that point was kind of just making it live. I remember we were already posting on the Instagram page, kind of like leading up to it, but we didn't like make the site live. And then one night I got like 5 or 6 messages like, can we even buy this? Like, where's your website? And that was like, shoot, people are asking, like, I need to do this. I can't lose interest. And then it was within that week. That's how I decided just like within that week, I was like, okay, I have to do this because people are asking. The product is done. I don't know what I'm waiting for. Like, here's this video. Let's let's do it.
And I also think that that's the part that keeps most people, especially women, from actually starting the brand. Is they're like, oh, this person has high resolution photos. But I think when you look at bloggers or influencers, for example, if you go back to like their old photos or like their even YouTubers, like their first videos, it's like this crappy video or this crappy photo. But over time, they've gotten better and they were able to invest in themselves more and buy better equipment, hire someone, and just it's a slow process. And I think that's the part that people kind of tend to forget.
Right. Absolutely. Like, oh, that's also like, that's such a great point. And that's where having like a mentor kind of would come in handy because I was kind of like, in the beginning, I was like, okay, Dad, I found where I want to source the oil from. And I found where I want to get our packaging from. And I was like, okay, so I'm just going to do this in a month. He's like, Hira, relax, slow down. It takes like a little longer than that. Like, you're going to get this and then you're going to decide you like something else. And then you're going to get a sample of this and you're going to decide you like something else and sleep on it. He's like, there's no point in rushing getting it done because these things do take time. And so you want to be something, you want to put out something that you're not going to look at in like a year and be like, completely embarrassed about, right? Like I can sit here and say like the video wasn't that great, but like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I wouldn't use my hair oil, right? Like I'm wearing it right now. It's sitting next to me. Like that's the put the emphasis on the actual like what is important. And so if you're gonna have the best quality photo and the most high res HD camera for whatever, and but you're like it makes you like it makes your skin dry and it whatever your eyelashes fall out, like I'm not buying that mascara, like I'm not going to use that lotion. So I mean, wherever you have to kind of like maneuver what's important.
So what was the biggest challenge you faced the first year in business and how did you overcome it?
The biggest challenge, I would say, I think kind of like deciding what our market was and making sure that it got to that customer or consumer. Because you think that you have it down pat, but then it like takes a life of its own. And like you kind of have to like change your or manage your expectation based on what's happening. Like most of our growth has been organic. We haven't really done a lot of social ads. And I guess like just making sure that like in the beginning, like you're kind of like, oh, she wants our product. She wants like free bottles for everyone. Like I've done so many shoots and I've had or with collabs and kind of like been around other brands and companies. And we talk about, of course, what are you up to? And then they find out that I have hair oil and I end up having like Oprah moments everywhere. I'm like, free hair oil for everyone. And you kind of like want this. It's great. And like everyone loves it. And, they leave you sweet comments and reviews like, thank you. But you kind of have to, I guess like tighten your rein a little bit and know that like, what, everyone isn't going to like it and it's not for everyone. And it's okay if everyone doesn't like it. And so I think that you go through stages as an entrepreneur. You kind of go from wanting to you have this idea and then you want everyone to accept it and kind of like support you. And then people don't. And then it's like, okay, why don't they? I thought that they were my friends, or I thought that, you're supposed to support people that that have small businesses or whatever. You stop expecting things, and that's like the best thing ever. I think that was kind of a challenge I overcame as well. You no longer care if someone's gonna buy it or someone's gonna rebuy it, or because it's not for everyone. And so you kind of just have to get it into make sure that you're doing your part in getting it to who it is for, or who will appreciate it, or who will, find the use for it. Because again, not everyone likes the same things. And you're here to educate and kind of introduce this new concept. But like if people don't want, or they don't think it's for their hair, or, whatever they may have thought, and they're kind of just like stuck in their ways, then like you do your best and then you move on. There are billions of people in this world. I didn't just make it for the 10,000 I know, So realizing that, I think that's really like a powerful message that I'd like to, kind of pass on to everyone. The world is bigger than the people you're around. So keep at it if you feel like that's, if you're in like a race for acceptance or in that kind of rut.
I agree. And I think that's a controversial topic that I hear from entrepreneurs that I have run into, and just friends that I know who have their own business or brands, where I have the friends who say, you're my friend, so you have to support. Why aren't you buying my product? Why aren't you reposting it if you're not going to buy my product? Or why aren't you not complain, but when I want to express my interest? But then there's also those friends where they're like, oh my gosh, you're having this release event. I may not or you're having this release product. I may not relate to the product, but I'll purchase it anyway and give it to someone who does. Or I'll
That's amazing. I love stuff like that. And that's actually always the personality I've had. I'm sorry, go
How
on.
was it for you? Like, did you have friends who fell into one group versus the other? Did it, I guess, change the dynamic of your friendship, or how did that all play out for you?
Oh my God. So that's actually really funny. That's a great question. And the people that know me really, really well, and if they listen to this, which I'll make them, um, they will think that's hilarious. So the amount of people that I got saying like, "Oh, hook it up," or like, "Send me some," or like, "Can't wait to try it," and you know that they just expect you to send it to
Yeah.
them. It's like, what? Are you kidding me? You will go spend like X amount on anything, like some random ass shit. And then you're trying to tell me that you want to be all buddy buddy and you're asking me to hook it up? Are you kidding me? Like I put like
Invested so much money into this.
I've invested like hours, months, like money. Oh my, are you what? And so it's so funny. It's all the quotes are true. If you want to see who your real friends are, start a business. If you like, just absolutely. There's so much. I look at it as it's like it was you've literally like imagine a book. Like, you don't just write a book in one night. There's chapters, there's like pages, there's like words and paragraphs and like themes, and that all goes into a product too. And you're all these, you can't just ask someone to give you their product. I think that's so offensive. It's like saying you're a, like, I don't know, a consultant of some sort, and you're way high up, and you just give me an hour of your time for free. No, are you kidding me? I've worked 30 years. I'm not going to give you an hour for free. I'm $1,000 an hour. You can pay that or get lost. And I think that's how you should be. That's how your product is. Like, I don't know. It's been disheartening at times. I'm not going to lie, but it goes back to like realizing, you know what? Maybe it's not for them, or maybe they're not for me. And thank you for showing that, especially when you ask for things constantly over and over again for free. And but when it comes to like getting the random support too, that's like I can't even like describe that feeling. I get messages from people literally like in the UK, in Australia, that tell me that they love the product, and they like, it's just, I have no idea who they are. And you like create these like, can I give someone a shout out? Shout out to Sandy in the UK. She's one of like my first customers, and I literally have no idea. Like, I've never met her. Now I know who she is, but I had no idea who she was. And the genuine love and support that you can get from people you've never met, I think that's like amazing. And so that is what I guess like it turns into. It goes from like, wanting this to be for the people you know and love. And then it kind of goes into, well, okay, there are people that don't even know me and love it. So that's, I think it's worth more because they don't even know you. They just like, you did something right if you could speak to someone through your post or your product or the way something looked in a picture. So I think that's a bigger testament. It's a greater testament. And it's just another thing, you take people for who they are. So then you just, as you get older, I love getting older, because that's what that teaches you. I sound a little jaded. I sound jaded. I'm actually very happy. I have great relationships with my friends, but there are those people that, it's just like, wow, it's actually unbelievable.
No, I agree as well, just because I started my own business, and before starting a business, I saw different quotes and different sayings, like what you said, you realize who your real friends are when you start a business. But I think it's also you realize which friends, I don't want to say have been always jealous of you, but which friends are more comfortable with you staying stagnant or complacent with where you are in your life, and which friends are willing to be there and actually grow with you and support you through your. Because I just feel like once I started my business, some friends, unfortunately, they just they weren't as supportive as I expected, which I didn't expect everyone to buy for my product or anything like that. But I think a simple like comment, repost, reshare it's free. It takes like a minute of your
Oh,
a few seconds of your time.
oh my God, Rashiba, thank you. That is so funny because that's so true. Another friend of mine but you know what? Other business owners get it. I know that, like, you know what? I met you once and your post happened to show up when I opened my app. And I know that, if I like this, it's going to help your algorithm.
Exactly,
We
yeah.
have completely different
Mhm.
products. Like, it's not going to make a difference in my life. It's not going to cost me anything. I'm going to do it because, like, I just want everyone to do well. And, it's just, that's so crazy that you say that because that but when you're in the business and when you study these things and when you have someone who does your social and you talk about these impressions and you talk about, beating the algorithm and kind of like making your way around it, that, what, these certain few, I can guarantee that like it's going to be the first post when they open the app. You can tell it's based on your interaction. It's based on if you've DM'd, how much you like each other's things. If someone's going to see your post and if and they don't like it, and it's like, are you kidding me? Or, I mean, there's been certain people that we've shouted out and it's like, we don't even like tag everyone, but they'll just only like something that has to do with them. And then it's like, oh, now you see it? Okay, thanks.
Sucks because like Kim Kardashian or Kylie, they can post a picture and they already get like 1,000 likes in a few minutes. But there's
But Rashida, what about your friends that are liking Kim's photos and they're not liking yours? And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Do you know Kim? I'm sorry. You know Kim?
But it's like I have friends who like will badmouth certain people, like not saying Kim Kardashian or things like that. But for me, I'm your friend, and it's like a simple like or a comment or a share will help me out. And so it's almost better than you actually buying my product because not sometimes, but most of the times your friends aren't your target audience. Sometimes the people
absolutely, yes. Oh my God, that's such a great point. Yes, it is better, and it's free. That's let's emphasize the fact that it's not going to cost anyone anything, and it's just the nice thing to do. And so you know what? I make it a point if I see I mean, there has not been one post that I saw that I intentionally didn't like. It's never been my thing to like celebrities posts, to be honest.
Same.
I just because I follow very few of them on my personal account. It's mostly just my friends. I follow a lot of fashion. And so some of that I will, if it's runway looks, and I'll post, I'll like that so it could keep coming up in my feed because I want to see what's on, Laquan's new, season and what's walking down the runway. But I don't want, sometimes I'm more interested in that than someone I knew in junior high who I follow, So that in that way, like, yeah, sometimes it goes here or there, but it's just crazy to me when I see, and now Instagram it tells on you, it shows what friends of yours commented. There'll be like 1 million comments, but if your friends commented, it'll come to the top. I don't know if you've noticed that. Have you noticed that?
It does. And I noticed that as well. Yeah. Even when I go look at celebrities posts, it'll either be the celebrity comments that come to the top or your friends' comments that come to the top.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like, okay, you took 5 minutes to do that and stare at that photo, but cool. Glad you didn't like ours.
It's almost like I feel like I know I'm not like super famous or anything just yet because I do see a future where I will be more, I guess,
girl, I see it too.
But I just hope that the people who aren't giving me as much attention are supporting my brand, that when I do eventually get to where I see myself going, that they don't come out of the woodworks and say, "Oh, hey, like we're the best of friends. Like let me like, be your best." And just like bandwagon on with you. And it's just like, whoa, like you weren't even there when I had like one follow or like not one, like maybe 10 followers.
Ready, honey. Get ready. It happens. Oh my God, it happens. So we went to BeautyCon last year. And of course, all the fabulous influencers that are at BeautyCon. So we were there. And it was our job. I mean, of course, if we're going to, and me and Jiraiya, who's my fabulous PR. Her and I went to BeautyCon, and we met everyone. We met like I can't even think of Leanne from her funny, Leanne V. She does like those hilarious videos of like her and her dad and mom kind of like lip sync to songs. And we met Angel, who's Mac Daddy and Exterior Glam. We met so many of them. And so we were posting, of course, we were talking about the oil.
I know who Mac Daddy is. Yeah.
Oh my God, he's so cool. So we were posting everyone, and I don't think we've ever gotten as much traction as I did then. Or I don't think that I got enough, like every time we were featured somewhere, it's like all of a sudden people were replying to my like stories or just like wanting to hang out and catch up. I'm like, what? No, I haven't heard from you in years. Where is this coming from? And now I don't have the time. And so, it's funny. One of the people that, fuck with you halfway just in case. A bunch of those. I feel it. You with time, you can tell who's just, like half, like just sticking around a little bit, just in case. So it's
because I really do personally, like I was just actually talking to my roommate about it, where it's, ever since I was little, I never had a lot of girlfriends. I've always had just like one or two really close girlfriends, just because I've never been like a girl's girl where I can hang out with a big group of girls, just because there's always like cattiness, gossip, and drama. But when I look at other entrepreneurs or brands or just influencers or people who are well-known names, it's hard to see them with like this big group of friends. And I'm just like, how are you able to have that many girls that are your friends and not have drama or cattiness and keep up with it? I mean, there are shows like The Real Housewives of Atlanta and all those different things, but it's like that. I don't know if that's showing like the real side of it, but women they're not on a reality show, how are you able to have this big group of girls that are your friends and are all supportive, and there's no like jealousy, there's no drama, and you guys are just like a big tribe? Because I see different brands where they say, oh, you need a tribe, you need women to support you. And it's true. I completely believe in women supporting other women, but I haven't gotten that from the people that I thought I would get it from. And like you mentioned, I've gotten it from complete strangers. And I'm just like, whoa, like, who are you? Like, I appreciate it, but it's just like, what did I do that made you comment and say this nice thing to me? Like, I'm not that way. It's just like, whoa, like, you're making me cry a little type of thing.
No. Oh my God. So I literally, that's so crazy that you're saying that, because just today, to our brand page, we got a random message saying, I love the aesthetic. I always check the account when it's like a random message like that. I'm like, wait, is this spam? Is this a bot? But it was a girl. She was like, I don't know from where, but she was like, I just thought you would want to know that you're doing a great job and the page looks great. I'm like, wow, that is so nice. And then I replied back. I was like, wow, that's really sweet. She's like, just thought you wanted to, just thought you'd need some positivity. I'm like, wow, that is super nice. No idea who she is. And so, yeah, there are good people in this world. So as much as of a rant I went on non-supporters, there are completely, it exists, and it's so refreshing to see. But I think that's what's aggravating. It's like, why is that refreshing? Why is that not the norm? Why is that not how people default to acting? Why does it have to be that like we have to kind of like people can't be happy without having something going for themselves? And if that's how it is, then wow, I really hope that you get whatever you need to be full enough to then give to others, because it's really just, it's lonely. And you're just going to be alone if you're going to act like that. And so, and building a business in itself has, it's so scary. And it's because you do have to have that alone time, and you are the only one working at it. And that's when you feel it the most, that like, it might not be the worst thing, but that's actually when I sought out, more community. I don't think that you could do it at the same time. I don't think in the building phase you could do the networking phase as well. Maybe some people can, but I couldn't. I kind of had to like put my head down and just work on product and kind of like just tunnel vision onto that before I could get out there and like be the one to be at events and kind of like talk about it too. So I didn't do that the first year. But now reaching that kind of mark and kind of being able to, you know what, I don't have to focus on like formula anymore. It's kind of just like, it's done. And so you're able to like be out there more and kind of network. And so meeting people is important. I don't think you necessarily have to have a huge tribe though. So me growing up, I always did have like, I guess a lot of friends, but maybe too many friends. And so you can't be close to so many people. It's just like not feasible, especially if you want to be like successful in something. I don't think it's possible. Like maybe if you want to just like, you know, go to work and come home and like you have the time to hang out and make plans any day of the week. But like, I know that like Monday through Wednesday, I'm coming home and like, you know, kind of at it till 2 a.m. So I'm really not going to see anyone those days. And so if you have the time to give to other people, that's great. And if you have the time to maintain like 20 close friendships, that's great. But like, I don't really know what else you're doing then at that point. And I don't think that it's the best or the most realistic image to give off for influencers. But I don't actually think that they're doing it intentionally. So I've also seen in a lot of situations, I'm sorry, I'm like rambling. I can talk for hours. Thank you. So I've literally seen people take a photo for the sake of taking a photo, and then you just like leave, or they met in that moment and they're going to take the photo because, oh, you're potentially cool. I'm potentially cool. This might get a lot of traction. Yeah. For the grams. A lot happens for the gram. So let's not discount that and let's not forget about that. And when we try to like put out expectation for ourselves, you know, it's like, it's not, I don't think it's the most reasonable thing to expect.
I agree.
Yeah.
Can't wait until the next episode to get your cup filled? Follow us on our social media platform for daily inspiration at Pour Into My Cup on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and Pinterest. Or check out our blog and services at www.pourintomycup.org. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to stay updated when new episodes are released. Leave a review and pour into someone else's cup by sharing the podcast. And I have to ask, is your cup half empty or half full? Peace, love, happiness. Rashiba, signing off.